comes along, we'll do whatever. This is Radio Free Cybertron, episode 359, recorded April 16th, 2014. I'm your host, Brian Kilby, and it's old school RFC. Sorta. We have Don. Don's old school.
Don's just old.
Exvee.
Don's the oldest school.
Exvee, fellow founder. Rob Clay, and Hey Mickey. I'm assuming that Amy Morgan, a.k.a. Lady Wreck, will join us later on in the show. We're going to talk about the Windblade comic. But who knows? I know Exvee and Rob both love this book. Spoilers. And we'll get to that here in a few minutes if Amy doesn't join us. Let's see here. What's going on this week? So, Exvee, thank you. I ended up getting Whirl.
Yes.
Came today. I ordered it, like, immediately after you told me. That was, like, 2 months ago.
I think it was like a week.
Did you order another Rhinox at the same time?
No.
I told him to, but he didn't seem interested.
But no, I have Whirl now, so my life is complete.
So did you break his knee yet?
I am so flippin' scared.
Okay, so, Cheetamus from Allspark.
Yeah.
He actually popped the pin out of the legs on a Whirl, and it is exactly what I thought it was. It is an octagonal socket with an octagonal piece inside. So when you move it at all, you're warping one or the other piece of plastic inside that joint.
That's awful.
Yeah, it's shown to move, and I guess technically it's made to move, but it's not. You shouldn't move that.
Oh, here's Amy.
Hi.
Hey,
Sorry.
Hi, Amy.
Hello.
Hello.
Have we started already? I apologize.
Yes, but you haven't missed talking about Windblade, so everything's okay.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome sauce.
And Brian, just a random thing.
Yeah.
After the show, I think I know someone who needs that extra Rhinox of yours. So.
Okay.
Just a heads up.
Sweet. I think it's already on eBay, but I'll double check.
Tell them to start bidding.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's on eBay, but I'll double check.
Not like you can't take it down.
Yeah, as long as nobody's bid on it.
Yeah, I can take it down. So, and Amy's on the show this week. Hey, Amy.
Woohoo! It's good to be here. How's everybody doing?
Good.
We're great.
Fantastic.
I was
It's a great time.
asking if I should buy Windblade a while ago since Generation 1 is over, and I got a resounding yes from the folks that
Yes.
was here.
I second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, all the way through whatever.
Hey,
Windblade.
Windblade?
Windblade, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Don's fault.
It's like a whole Darkwind to Darkwing, Wing Darkwind thing.
Yeah.
Darkwing Duck.
Yes.
Now I'm imagining Wing Saber painted up like Darkwing Duck for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, that would be pretty cool.
Which Wing Saber?
Energon.
Ugh. Why?
I picked the worst one, and I knew that's what Don was going to pick. So.
I know, it just popped in my head.
I mean, at least use the Cybertron one.
I don't know that
can actually move.
I don't know that I've seen the Cybertron one. Cybertron was a down period for me, so I bought like Prime, and I bought Vector Prime, and that was like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Cybertron Wing Saber is the second toy that combines with Optimus.
Third, isn't it?
Oh yeah, the
Third.
Thunder the Cobra Rattler.
Okay, no, yeah,
kind of.
second. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that's as, visually distinct from an A-10 as possible while still looking like an airplane. Because originally the prototype for that looked a lot more like, Power Glide, actually.
Brian, you should have bought a Cybertron med flap.
I have one of those.
I would have killed if they made a signal lancer out of that.
I am just
Get a knife and a paintbrush and go to town, Don.
Yeah, you haven't seen my level 1 Gundam kits, have you?
Can't be worse than mine. That's why I stopped having Gundam kits.
Yeah, so
Action figures are much better.
Whirl.
Yeah.
They're all finished already.
I have Whirl. Whirl is great.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back, so let's do this. Sorry, I put in an edit point because just Skype and everything was screwing up, so we'll resume right here. This week on the show, we have this week in history, we have a little bit of news this week. Not a whole lot, but we have some. Q&A with Rob Springer. We actually have a segment that was put together by Diecast, Melvar, and Lauren from the Google Plus Hangout, and we have a topic at the end of the show that we're going to get to. But I really think the big news of the week is the first issue of the Windblade comic. Let's go ahead. We'll do that here, though, in just a couple of minutes. We'll tease. We're teasing that one. That's what everybody wants to hear about. It's good. Apparently, you haven't read it. But everybody says it's good.
You should totally read it, Brian.
It's on comiXology. You could actually, like, go do that during the break.
I could, or I could do it during the show and just stutter and stammer through. Nobody would know the difference.
Oh, sure. Steal my jokes.
So, this week in history...
What do you even have me and Mickey here for if we can't make fun of you ourselves?
I know. So, in 2004, Columbia Music Entertainment in Japan released the Zone OVA on DVD. I didn't actually know that was officially released on DVD, so that's kind of new to me. I have a bootleg copy that I am pretty darn sure is based off a Laserdisc.
Laserdiscs.
Yeah, I know. We've talked about Zone before quite a bit. It's crazy. We actually did a Transformers Rewind on Zone. I'll link that from the show notes. You need to go back and watch or listen to that because that was fun. And Zone is really one of those formative things for me in Transformers because I learned about it so early on and watched it so early on into my learning about the Japanese series. It really shaped for me what the Japanese series were, which is screwed up.
Well, no, because now, like, Headmasters was just boring.
Headmasters was boring until you make it English. And English is good.
Yeah, but then it's fun. It's not screwed up.
Yeah.
The thing is, at the time, when I first watched Headmasters, I watched it raw, so I didn't know that it was boring. It was just confusing.
That's true. No, that's true. I first watched Headmasters in Japanese on bootlegged VHS tapes, which I think we talked about last week, being involved in tape trading. But Zone I watched so much farther ahead of Headmasters or Master Force. Actually, I think I probably watched Victory before Master Force. So Master Force was a huge letdown.
Oh, I love Master Force is my favorite.
Master Force is so violent. That cartoon does not F around.
Yeah.
Master Force has, like, concepts I kind of like, but I don't really care for the show overall.
I don't either.
And I mean,
they killed the kid's dad in the second episode.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same way with Headmasters too. There's stuff in it that I like what they did, especially the way they actually treat Headmasters as being, little robots wearing larger bodies. That always made a lot more sense to me. But
yeah, absolutely.
I never got around to watching Victory, but I'm not really very inclined to either.
It's interesting to see Victory progress from something a little more. It gets kind of dark and it goes places you really wouldn't think of it, but it's not. It's just.
If you watch the first scene, you think it's all about cowboys and stuff. I think that's all that a lot of people have watched is like the first episode or the first 5 minutes.
But it's like the first time Star Saber fights against Lyle Kaiser. It's just brutal.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, I don't think I've even put that DVD in my player since I bought it.
You don't need.
I should do that someday.
We'll watch some when I come down there next time. In like 8 months.
Don't threaten me.
Well, you threatened me with Catwoman, so
that's awful.
Which is great.
Okay, so in 2003,
not this again.
In 2003, the first issue of War and Peace. That was the ongoing series that Dreamwave produced.
That was Dreamwave's. That was the second series, I think.
There's the mini-series and then an ongoing, right?
Well, I think they did. Okay, Amy, you'd probably know this better. Dreamwave's War and Peace. That was like the second mini-series set, wasn't it?
I believe it was. Yeah, I believe it was. I wasn't around during that time, but according to what I've been listening to with Dave and Chris McFeely recording, I think that's what it is. Yeah, War and Peace was the second one.
Have you read it?
I have. It's been a good 2 years since I've read it.
Did you like it?
I liked that one probably better than I liked the other one. It was I can't remember. I've got to go back and read them again just because it's been a while. But I think I liked the War Within. It was a War Within, War and Peace, and then I can't remember what the third one was. I think we haven't reviewed it. That's probably why I haven't known. Yeah. It was all right. I think the War and Peace one, was that the with Shockwave?
Yeah, that was the second modern day one after
Okay.
after the dumb as hell Lazarus thing in the first mini-series.
I know it's too late now, but I really need to finish the fanfic that I started that was based on that first mini-series.
Nice.
Is it a serious fanfic?
No.
Even better.
No.
The fun ones are even, yeah.
Have y'all
I'd love to
reviewed the
read it.
Dreamwave Micromasters book yet?
No, we haven't. That's the one I can say with pride that I have not read yet either. I've tried starting it a couple times and I just haven't been able to.
Is it the worst Transformers comic of all time?
I don't know. I've read some pretty bad ones, let me tell you.
I don't know what sure how you believe it is, though.
It's the most inscrutable. So I challenge anyone to figure out what the hell is going on in any given panel.
Yeah, someone actually started doing like a page-by-page analysis of the art to try to figure out what the hell was going on.
It was awful. You could not
go very far.
You could not tell what. You could not who was speaking to who and what was doing.
Well,
what.
I think there was the one really infamous thing where there was one it was a splash panel, and way up in the corner, Astro Train was flying away, but the way it was done, people thought that they were showing the planet Quintessa.
How does that work?
You'd have to see the page, Rob.
The art it makes is like a fever dream translated into graphic form.
It's like if someone decided to satirize Pat Lee art.
Like Pat Lee does? Okay, sorry.
Okay, bad example.
That's like the Simpsons parodying the Simpsons.
Yeah.
Simception?
In 1987, Rosie Bag of Hangers was born.
Bag of Hangers.
It makes me sad that she's so much younger than I am. Not surprised, but sad. But the
Has
thing
she
is,
done anything since Dark of the Moon?
no, I don't think so.
I may weep openly at that.
It was better than Revenge of the Fallen.
This is true.
In some ways.
I've seen commercials better than Revenge of the Fallen.
Yeah, that MacGyver MasterCard commercial from a couple years ago.
What's not better than Revenge of the Fallen? We've had this conversation. We had this conversation the last time me and Mickey were on together.
The Micromaster comic is not better than Revenge of the Fallen.
I actually bought that miniseries, and I remember reading it, but I don't remember anything about it other than I
I think
buy
the
it.
NES for Magnus Transformers game is better than Revenge of the Fallen.
Famicom. It wasn't released for the NES. If it was, I would have owned it.
Technicalities.
Well, Kilby, you could still own it. You buy all kinds of things you don't need.
I've got it. I own it, but not on the NES. I have the Famicom. You can't play it on the NES.
Your statement was vague.
Sorry.
It all emulates the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's important.
But the important part is the pinouts are different. So.
Well, when you say the worst Transformers ever, I keep thinking of Heart of Darkness, where it ate my soul. So
Heart of Darkness was the one with the really terrible art too, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Ulysses Frenis.
And
it just didn't work.
And
I'm not familiar with this one. Which is this?
This is leading up to Chaos, right?
Yes, that was leading up to Chaos, yeah.
So this is like Galvatron wandering around doing stuff, killing time, basically.
This is IDW?
Finding,
yeah.
The rift between, the universe and the dead universe, and Novo coming back, and it just... Yeah.
And beating on Galvatron in really, really bad artwork.
Okay, so Galvatron getting sucked into the dead universe and having a fever drug-induced dream.
Real quick, without any spoilers, does Dark Cybertron make the dead universe any more interesting? Because it's really tedious in everything I've read so far.
Actually, the Dead Universe was really tedious in Dark Cybertron, too.
Bill shit.
I would like to think that because of Dark Cybertron, we will never see the Dark Universe again. That it's sucked into oblivion or it doesn't exist anymore. Yay!
That would be nice, and I kind of think that's one of the intents of Dark Cybertron. Having read through the whole thing, I think that was John Barber being like, I don't ever want to hear about this ever again.
Let's put a period on this sentence.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So basically, it's now one of the DC New 52 worlds. We'll never see it again.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Hey, so, I was going to do some news, but I really don't give a rat's behind about the Transformers ties.
Oh, good. I don't either.
Yeah, or,
Let's go tie one on.
I did want to mention the Hallmark 2014 ornament, just because I think it looks pretty awesome, and I'll just show that real quick. And you can go find it yourself at tformers.com. But this is just a render of it, but I think it looks great. It's very, of course, G1, based on the G1 Prime toy. So,
At least it's not movie.
Yeah, at least it's not movie. So
Yeah.
Mickey, do you remember
Oh, go ahead.
Do you remember the movie character head Christmas ornaments that I talked about when we were recording Superhero Time a couple years ago?
I don't. I kind of remember the actual ornaments, but I don't remember our discussion.
Just how, like, why would you put something this horrifying looking on your Christmas tree? Because, it's just the heads in, like, super detail. Movie character heads. Why would you even?
I don't know. Someone hates their children, I guess. Something like that.
Everyone
What says,
hates their children.
let's celebrate the birth of our Lord with, Megatron's face.
Yeah.
And all that's bladey goodness.
Did you say that this is being done by Hallmark, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
I like it.
When you care enough to send the very worst.
Yeah. But, so, we weren't going to do any third-party news, but Don reminded me of something I did actually want to talk about. KFC, Keith's Fantasy Club, they're doing that shark mold. What's the Brave character that you love so much, Don?
Captain Shark.
Captain Shark. But they're also basing our favorite...
There's a Sky-Byte
Yes.
and an Energon-based Sharkticon.
Yes, Sky-Byte, which they're calling Haiku, which I love. I love that. That's going to be produced as well. And it looks pretty nice. I don't know that I need it, of course, because I've got, 2, 3. Gosh. I've got the original BotCon. Is there another one? One's coming out.
Yeah, one is coming out sometime, theoretically, in the next couple months.
Yeah, so that's 3, but darn it, I might have to get this one too.
I don't really understand it. Generally, third parties tend to make the most detailed reproduction of, the show model or whatever as you get.
Well,
but this is...
Yeah, but...
This seems a lot more like Hasbro's idea of let's reimagine the character as something simple.
Right, but I think what this actually starts out as is a third-party toy of Captain Shark, which they are adapting into other uses.
Yes.
Because Captain Shark is a flying robot.
Captain Shark is a fan favorite, which is the thing.
Yes. Yes, he's a flying robot pirate shark with an eye patch and a 16-missile launcher gun thing.
Okay.
Like, I'm not into Brave stuff, but even I think that's pretty cool. That, and they need to do, like, a third-party Mike Saunders.
No. The original Mike Saunders is good enough. If he's too good, he loses his whole effect.
Okay.
So in other words, if they try to improve on it in any way, it'll just
They'll ruin
completely
it.
destroy it.
So
Mike's
So I'm going to go ahead and just say that's it for the news. Let's talk about Windblade.
okay.
So is this as awesome as everybody says?
Yes,
I think
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if Exvee is saying yes, then yeah.
Well, okay, I'll put it to you this way. Any issue of, like, okay, More Than Meets the Eye is, like, my favorite ongoing book.
Mhm.
And since I started reviewing them for T-Formers, wow, that's been close to 2 years now. Damn.
Wow. Oh my
That's
God,
awesome.
I'm getting old.
I think
that
that's
time-
great.
In that time, though, I've never given an issue of More Than Meets the Eye, like, a full 10 out of 10, but I gave Windblade a full score.
cool.
Because I love the art. I'm going to start there because it's so different from anything else we've had in Transformers comics or really official Transformers anything. And the style is really great. Sarah Stone is really good at body language, motion, facial expressions. You know, all of that comes across so naturally and cleanly and smoothly. I mean, you can tell, you could read the book just with the art. And Rob will back me up on this. Margaret Scott's writing is awesome. She's written my favorite episodes of Transformers Prime, and it shows through in this too. Windblade and Chromia were non-characters in Dark Cybertron, half on purpose, I'm sure, but just, you know, first 5 pages of Windblade #1, Windblade's got a really strong character developed just in that space, and Chromia is not far behind. You know, the whole thing is just a really solid package. I was really happy with this book.
Awesome. I can't say anything better than that. You've pretty much nailed it. That's yeah.
Now, as someone who hasn't read the book, I have heard of all of the criticisms being tossed around and things said about this and that. In a nutshell, what was the criticisms, and do you think the book addresses what they were as far as to finally put the issue to rest?
The criticisms are fans suck.
I thought it was something deeper and more meaningful than that.
Oh,
no,
I've heard that she's a Mary Sue because she's a fan-made favorite boy. I was like, look, she was voted on by the fans. The fans voted, and this is what they came out of that, and they're not trying to say, oh, you'll love her. It was, you know, Margaret and Sarah have done a lot for the last couple of months. They've done a lot of work getting in every interview they possibly can. Yeah. I mean, for a while there, it did look like all the news was pretty much all of their interviews. But that's them being smart. That's them going out and being proactive and trying to, you know, advertise and go to every little inch of the internet because they want to see this successful. So, I mean, they're not ramming it down your throats. It's just that because we're getting all of the news online and a lot of it is coming at the same time, it's them doing all of their interviews. So I looked at it and said, you know what, I'm not going to read every single interview because a lot of them kind of pretty much went over about the same thing. But I just thought, wow, this is really smart. This is these two ladies wanting to see this be good and to sell well. And it didn't bother me one bit. I mean, did I read every interview? No, I didn't. But I did tweet out every single interview that I saw or whatever. I put it all together, and I have access to them. But some fans were just kind of being a little critical about that. I thought, well, they're just trying to be smart, you know. And hopefully this brings in people that have never read Transformers, and because they read one issue or a couple issues of Windblade, they say, I'm going to go check out, you know, Dark Cybertron or More Than Meets the Eye or Robots in Disguise, and that just kind of snowballs into, you know, a fan that gets everything and reads everything. So.
Yeah, it's not like Windblade is what Drift started out as.
No.
There's a very distinctive difference, and Amy's got it exactly right too with the interviews. They're trying to make everyone understand what their intent was, how they put this together. And I read a lot of the interviews because I posted references to a lot of them at T-Formers, so I was reading through for excerpts, and there was a lot of overlap on that, but every one of them said a little something different, and it was good to have that going in because you kind of understood the thought processes too. So, yeah. I mean, they did a really good job of doing their own publicity, basically, for this book, and every new thing I read made me more excited for it, and I was not let down at all.
The art is awesome. I just bought it on coMixology, and I'm looking at it. It looks great.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I'm looking at it when you're reading it right now, right?
Yeah.
Some art they've tried in the past have been kind of a hit or type of miss type of thing, where we get, you know, like we've already mentioned it before, Ulysses Freeness. His art looked interesting and it was different, but once we saw it as Transformers, it kind of didn't fit very well.
Yeah,
and hers,
it
fits. Yeah, hers absolutely fits.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I thought you were on that time. You know, like, and there's Livio Ramondelli, who color is really great. I just am not a huge fan of the way he actually draws robots from panel to panel.
Yeah.
But I mean, Sarah Stone's another one with a really unique coloring style and really strong line work too. You know, I want to see her do more Transformers work after Windblade wraps up. Hopefully, Windblade will get extended past a miniseries in some way, but whatever form it takes, I want to see more Sarah Stone art in Transformers books. And like going back to Dark Cybertron 2, we had Robert Gill do part of 2 issues actually.
Oh yeah.
And I really liked his work too. I mean, we saw a few good artists come out of the crossover event. And before that, there was Matt Frank, who's only done 2 Transformers things, and I think that's terrible because he's got beautiful art too. He's got his own like cartoonish style that really suited More Than Meets the Eye and the Mars Attacks book, because there was nothing more cartoon than Mars Attacks the Transformers.
Yeah. Well, without him, we wouldn't have gotten Force Field Face, right?
Exactly. No, I mean there's a lot of artists we've seen come up in side projects and miniseries, and I want to see more. I want to see them get more work in this, and I wish there was more ongoing books than we had, just so there could be more space for that. Because I don't want to take work away from Alex or Andrew on the main titles either, but too many good artists.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that they'll space it out in such a way that, like we get a one shot every once in a while in Robots in Disguise, or More Than Meets the Eye, so that we can give those guys, the main artists, a break for like an issue or 2, and then go back to what they're doing. But sometimes some of those, you mentioned Matt Frank. I know he works on the Godzilla titles as well, and so maybe it just might be a thing of, just he's been really busy with other stuff.
Yeah,
so, because that happens
that too.
from time to time too. So yeah, cool. I'm all right with having more Sarah Stone. Bring more Sarah. Great.
Maybe we can have annuals in More Than Meets the Eye and Robots in Disguise again this year.
That'd be cool.
That would be another opportunity to let more artists participate.
Yeah. Have there been any? Like the old Transformers, what was it? Was it More Than Meets the Eye? What was the 4-issue series that Marvel did? Universe. And IDW did, not IDW, Dreamwave
did a More Than Meets the Eye book.
Yeah.
That was basically the same idea.
But worse.
And people didn't get paid for that.
People we know.
People we know personally didn't get paid for work in that book.
But it's a shame. I kind of wish, one of them that we know, Jackpot, whose real name I actually can't pronounce, so I'm not going to. Thank you. I'd like to see him get an opportunity to do some work for IDW too, because he does really, really nice art.
His art's awesome, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I actually have one of his pieces as my desktop background.
Awesome sauce.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen him in a couple of years. I miss him. What?
I haven't seen work from him in a couple of years. I think his day job keeps him too busy.
Yeah, he updates his Deviant art page once in a while. Did you get a chance to meet him at BotCon 2012?
I didn't.
Okay. I don't even remember if he was there. Sometimes he has hair, sometimes he doesn't.
Yeah, like my knowledge of him is, hey, he's bald.
Sometimes. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and take a break. We'll jump to Q&A with Rob Springer. Then Diecast, Melvar, and Lauren will actually start us off with our topic this week. And once they are wrapped up with that, we will come back, take our stab at it. And I want to start off with a really awesome email that I got last week. So we will be back in just a few minutes. So we are back. Diecast, Lauren, and Melvar got into the discussion there on how, and thank you guys, by the way, but they got into discussion on how they broke into the fandom. And the reason I mentioned this, I got a great email on Saturday, and I'm going to go ahead and read this. And I hope I don't butcher your last name, Chris, but from Christopher Bucci. It starts out, Dear Brian and the RFC crew, this might sound like a strange email, out of nowhere, but I'm a fan of your podcast. In fact, I've listened for years, especially when I moved to Manhattan and needed some walking and train entertainment. For a long trip recently, I decided to download some past episodes of the show to help me with the tedious car ride. Lo and behold, in the July 28th, 2009 episode, which I think is the episode that JD and I teamed up with and actually brought RFC back on, in that, Brian mentioned the Transformers Collector website. I just have to say, my ears sparkled as that was my website. I was a hardcore sealed collector back then, and that was fun. Around 2000, I purged a lot of stuff and got away from it for a while, but the 2007 movie brought me back. And I've been around ever since. In a weird way, your mention got me to look up the web archive and see if it was still there. A lot of content is gone, and, well, my writing was horrible, but it still remains in some form. I wanted to say thank you for the mention. It brought back a lot of memories and back to a simpler time for me, that's for sure. So, I've mentioned this before, but it's been a while. The Transformers Collector was actually the first Transformers website that I ever found on the internet. Back in college, I actually found this through probably an Alta Vista or a Yahoo search. And Chris Triplett from Fanboy Versus and I sat and basically read through this site over and over and over again. Looking at pictures, talking about the content and everything. It like really opened up my eyes to the fact that Transformers were more than, you know, what I remembered about G1. And that's really pretty much it at that time, that it's what existed. But I really love that. And the fact that, you know, Chris's email just sort of brought me back. Like, it's really how I got into the online fandom. I found this website through a Yahoo search. Then it took me to what was the website, guys, that everybody went to? It was the Transformers website. It was at canet.se / Optimus/tf.html. That website had a bajillion links on it.
I love how you have that memorized.
I just read it.
Oh.
But
no, but as soon as he said canet.se, I remembered the rest of it.
Yeah. But let me real quickly just show the Transformers Collector here. You know, it's by today's standards, it's pretty primitive, but this thing was, you know, started in like 1997. Actually, so by that point, Beast Wars is around. But from a G1 perspective, you know, all this material was new to me because I really didn't get into the fandom until the 97. I didn't become active until 98. So this really sparked my interest in Transformers again, or at least helped guide me to, the person I am today. Certainly, if it wasn't for this, there never would have been an RFC, and most of the people today that I call my friends, like you guys, I never would have known. So this website meant a lot to me, and it's really how I got into the fandom. You could say all the Vista got me into the fandom, but it was the gateway, I think, to this site. And I love the site. And Chris's email really made my day. Turns out he actually listened to RFC back from the beginning. Of course, back then, pretty much the entire fandom existed like on Alt Toys Transformers. So that's not too surprising, but it's still pretty cool. So I know that we all got in different times in different ways. Exvee, how did you find yourself into the Transformers fandom?
I just woke up one day and there I was.
Yeah, that's how I remember it.
That's basically the truth, anyway. I woke up one day, I asked you how to go to Ouija, and, from there it just kind of went on.
How did you find me? Was it Alt Toys Transformers?
Probably RFC, actually.
Oh, so RFC...
I think RFC existed before I actually talked to you.
I know that you weren't on for the first year, 6 months or so.
At least several months, yeah.
That's sort of funny. I just, oh yeah, sure, I'll let you on.
Well, you didn't have standards back then.
No, I didn't.
You have them now?
I've gone back and listened to some of your old interviews, and... not interviews, reviews, and...
He's facepalming now.
It's terrible.
They were...
Everybody has to start somewhere, though.
Well, yeah, but still, looking back on it...
Just your description of everything was just so methodical, mechanical, and kind of funny at the same time. It was really... I thought...
I'm trying to remember if I wrote any of it out beforehand, or if I was just, talking off the top of my head.
Probably talking off the top of your head. But really, so RFC was what
I'm still no good at that.
Radio Free Cybertron was what got you into the fandom.
Yeah, I guess that's fair enough to say.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Because I don't actually remember what led me to Alt Toys Transformers in the first place, so...
what led me to All Toys Transformers was this website, or it was the Optimus, or it was the Transformers, whatever website at canet.se. But I definitely know that those two really led me to All Toys Transformers. So, Amy, I know you're a newcomer, relatively speaking, not so much at this point, but compared to, like, Exvee or me, or Don.
Well, especially into just the Transformers fandom, because that was, 4 or 5 years ago? I had watched a couple really, really new episodes. Well, actually, Transformers Animated was getting ready to wrap up at that point, and I saw a couple of the beginning episodes. I went on vacation somewhere, turned on the TV, and there it was, and I was like, oh. And my kids actually sat down and started watching it, and I was like, that's Transformers? It's like, that's not what I remember Transformers. But at the time, I had 2 kids, and I wanted to get them into stuff that I had looked at when I was a kid, and one of them was Transformers. So that's when I started looking on the internet, because I thought, there's got to be a way to get a hold of the old episodes. They have to have changed it from being on VHS to being on DVD, right? And then I went and found that there were some out, but it was hard to get a hold of a couple of them. So I was like, okay, I've got to keep looking. And then I just started broadening my horizon, going, okay, let's see, what else is there? What does YouTube have? What does, I had just gotten my first iPod mini device, and I looked into this great new thing called podcasts. Oh, what are that? And so I started listening to podcasts, and I realized quite quickly that, oh my gosh, there's a whole community. And so then I went online, and I found different forums, and I started signing up and started talking to other people that were fans of Transformers and going, oh my gosh, everybody's doing exactly what I'm doing. If they hadn't jumped on a couple years ago, they jumped on, or they went through the whole dark ages where no one was, there was nothing Transformers, and they're having a hard time collecting toys, and they had to go to yard sales to get them, and so it just getting a chance to read how everybody else had found Transformers one way or another, and how they liked to collect it, and they were a closet Transformer fan, and now they're completely out, and it was fun. And so that just kind of snowballed into this big thing, and now all of a sudden I was reviewing and reading comics and doing podcasting myself, and boom. And during that time, of course, I had also found RFC, and I started listening to you guys when I would go travel down to visit family, or I would go, during the day when I'm sitting here doing domestic stuff, I'd be listening to you guys. And then you came over to T-Formers, which I was already a part of, and it just kind of, I was invited on the show, and boom, there you go. That's me.
And now you're a podcasting machine.
God, you're a podcasting machine.
You're a legend.
I podcast everywhere. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and I think I finally counted it last year. I think I edited about a little over 85 podcasts.
I edited one.
Paladin for this evening.
So, you mentioned being in the closet, people being in the closet and out of the closet. I was out of the closet for the longest time, but in my new job, I'm kind of in the closet.
Aww.
I thought you got outed recently.
No, somebody outed me. But I'm trying to, pretend.
You're trying to pretend that you're not a fan right now?
So now I'm imagining Brian is actually a pretender shell at this point. And he's been
I'm like a pretender shell with a combiner inside. That would be funny.
I was thinking more like you now as a pretender shell, and asshole Brian from 2005 is what's inside.
Perhaps so. Hey, Mickey, you've been around longer than I realized. How did you get into the online?
I think Mickey's older than you too.
Maybe not.
I don't know. I mean, I was there since Christmas of '84, and I just remember carrying through the post-Action Master years of enjoying my love of Transformers to myself, and then the internet happened, and I found the canet.se website, and then I sort of just grew from there, and I briefly had an icon website, Shane Claus Icons, which was moderately notable, I suppose.
I never
to
heard
be generous.
Okay.
It's not terribly interesting.
I always knew you, I always knew you from the Allspark, and Exvee told me, yeah, Hey Mickey from the Allspark is going to be on Superhero Time Limit. He's the guy whose icon weirds me the hell out.
Yeah, I think all my notability within the fandom comes from just posting Tony Mesel's face photoshopped onto weird things, which is kind of cheap, really, but...
Hey, you know, everybody needs a niche.
And I made a couple of those for you, too.
You did.
Then there was that weird trend on Allspark where everybody was using those.
That was great. When I corrupted the entire website.
So you're a megabyte.
Rob, what about you? You've been around for a while, but mostly like in the Gundam and fandom, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have an almost kind of story. I almost got into the fandom online around 1993 or 1994. Had some very brief contact with Phil Zeman and his CMTF group on Prodigy. When I actually got online and got into a fandom, it was Gundam. That didn't go too well, so I, kept myself for a good while, and I started listening to RFC because actually, Exvee and I have been doing FigureReviews.com for 9 years now, and when you brought the show back, it was the first time I had ever heard his voice.
That's true. That's true.
Yes, so...
And I mean, it was even longer after that before either of us knew what the other looked like, so...
Yeah. Neither of us knew what the other looked like until Exvee told me to get a camera because I was going to be on the show.
Yeah.
So...
No, actually, it was before that, but...
Slightly before.
And was I there when you guys met each other?
For the first time in person?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes.
Oh yeah, because Exvee got there late, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Because
I remember the first time I met Exvee was at when we went to see Revenge of the Fallen together.
Yeah, it was at The Great Escape that's not there anymore.
Yeah. That was a disappointing evening.
In some ways, yeah.
So, just want to mention something before we get to Don. So, Exvee, do you remember that period of time when we thought that Susp and Super Spy were the same person?
I remember the period of time when I couldn't tell them apart by their names.
In person, you can definitely tell them apart. But yeah,
I've never met either of them, to my knowledge.
So, I just found out in the chat that Animated Plastic, our faithful diehard Animated Plastic, is the same as Lauren from the Hangout and who was on the show earlier in this episode. I feel kind of bad. So, sorry. Okay, so Don, obviously, like me and Mickey, you've been around since the beginning of Transformers. You've been a fan, but you got in. Were you a member of Transmasters?
No, but I do know Lion Elliott, who was part of that. But I do know her, but I wasn't part of it myself. I got into it. Actually, it all happened really pretty much over the course of one weekend. As far as the catalyst, it was 1984. It was my birthday. I was turning 14, and my parents did antiques and collectibles, and we were set up at Superfleet in Greensboro, North Carolina, back when it was a pretty good show. And there was a table there run by a man named Ralph, and he had almost all the Dinobots, Autobot cars, mini cars, just Nirvana, in an 8-foot table. And that morning I caught the second episode of More Than Meets the Eye Part 2, and I thought, this is pretty damn cool. This is robots that turn into vehicles. And then I saw those characters later on that morning, and it was my birthday, and my mom said, well, you can get one if you want. And I went up there. He didn't have Grimlock. I wanted Grimlock. I think most everybody, if they given us a choice of Dinobots, would have got Grimlock first. He didn't have Grimlock. So I got Sludge. And Sludge was my first Transformer ever. And I haven't stopped since.
In the 84 line of Transformers, did they come out in waves, or did everything just come out at once?
Well, I'll be honest, I really can't remember, Brian, because I was sort of dependent, again. Where we lived, I had nothing within walking distance, so I only saw the stuff if I was with Mom out shopping or with Dad going to Kmart for something. That's the only time I saw this stuff. But I do remember seeing at Eckerd, which was a drugstore chain at the time, Mirage sitting on a shelf, Brainstorm in '86. I remember going to Kmart and seeing Autobox Deluxe cars for $9.96 at a checkout.
I don't think I saw any in stores until '85. Because I remember when at Christmas of '84, I had never seen them before because they were so rare.
Yeah.
The only ones I saw were the ones I got for Christmas. Then my dad broke Jazz and Prowl. Thank you.
So
Before I even touched them.
So.
Wow, you got Kilby's record beat. He had to actually touch his toys before they broke.
Yeah.
So I really
Merry Christmas.
So I really can't say about the waves because by the time I saw them, you probably had several cases and assortments on a shelf at one time. So no, that's pretty much it. All happened over the course of, I caught part 2. I saw the toys that morning. I remember my first 4 in order: Sludge, Top Spin, Warpath, and Beachcomber.
How did you get into the online fandom, though?
Well, I bought my first computer in '96 when I was at Service Merchandise. It was a PS1.
It was that late?
95, 96, yeah.
I would have thought you had like a Commodore or something, dude.
No, I did have a Timex Sinclair 1000,
Tandy.
but I didn't use it for work. But no, I got a computer and I got online and I was at TFW 2005 for a while role playing. And
in '96?
90?
No, TFW.
Yeah,
okay, so I'm gonna take Tony Bacala. It's Andy, right, or Anthony? I forget. When he launched TFW 2005, he went around asking people for help promoting it. I helped promote the launch of.
No, I mean
TFW.
the mush. I meant the mush, not the.
Okay.
I mean,
I was going to say that was like literally in 2000, I think.
No, I'm sorry. I meant this is the actual online mush/mud, and I knew several people from BotCon that was in that, so that's what sort of got me to get a computer and do this online role playing stuff. And then Then my first website was bigbot.com, and because that's just the first one I found.
Is that still around?
I wonder.
I haven't even looked in years.
Let's find out.
I'm finding out right
Yeah,
now.
we've all got browser windows here. Let's go find out, man.
Yes,
Well, we have browsers windows, but we don't all have
It
interest.
takes you to Bot Talk.
That's not surprising actually, because owned by the same person.
What was it again? I like big bots.
And I just no, it's bigbot.com.
Okay,
Bigbot.com.
bigbot.com.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And that was just the website that I went to because it had all the headlines of the day. I didn't realize that he was just basically lifting them from other people and not giving credit. So that's what I was told. No offense, that's just what I was told.
That's a Renaud, right?
Nice.
Yeah, I remember him.
So
Everybody who's been around more than 10 years remembers him.
yeah.
I never had a problem with him.
So that's pretty much, I got involved with the mushing. I got involved with the. I was the original Spike, TFW 2005.
Nice.
It sounds like somebody reciting their soap opera credits, though.
Picture it, Sicily.
Wait, are you proud of being Spike?
Yes.
'Cause-
Yes, I was the first human they allowed.
I'm trying to think. Was I on All
Maybe
Toys
it's-
Transfers first, or was I in Cybertron on Downet first?
Oh, you started there?
Oh, Downnet.
Yeah.
I mean, I spent time in Cybertron too, but it wasn't the first place I went.
I think
Oh, I think it might have been the first place I went.
I think I was
Does anyone here remembering using the internet before it became graphical when it was just text-based?
No, not me.
Yeah. I remember going to Alt.Toys and Transformers. I think it was '84 after I met Raksha.
All Toys
for the
Transfers,
first-
94, you mean?
You met Raksha?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
met
of course
her
he's met- of course he's met Raksha.
several times.
What is she
I
like?
petted- I have petted Avatar, her original.
Are you friends with Raksha on Facebook?
I don't think I am anymore.
Because-
Well, I don't know.
Right now,
can't-
it's going through that list of people that I need to friend. It says, you should friend this person, you should friend this person, and like the third person is Raksha.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really know Raksha.
Raksha is very cool. She's a woman of extremely passionate ideals,
Oh, yeah.
and I respect her for that. But she's also fun to be around. and this is an old man story. I'm sorry, but one year we had the Transformers books on VHS. Basically, they took the books that came with the cassette and put the books on a VHS tape, and a narrator read what was on the printed page. And we just basically MST3K'd that one night till like 2 o'clock in the morning, because you had Starscream in robot mode hiding behind a tanker truck, like this. And we were all just sitting there. We were all in her room, just laughing our butts off.
I can see why that would have been fun.
Yeah. She's awesome. Avatar was only about 15 feet at that time, so he was still kind of small. Or she.
Good Lord. Okay.
She's always been one of those fascinating personalities on Transformers fandom to me.
Well, yeah, but when it comes to reptiles and other similar species, she is absolutely brilliant.
Oh yeah, that's what I've heard. She's one of those people. She sort of pulled herself out of the Transformers fandom, but there's a lot of people that have been around from that point that are still around. Phil was around at that point. Dave Van Domelen was still around. Dave's still
DVD. He's awesome.
Yeah, he is.
David.
Yeah,
David's been around for God knows
yeah.
how.
Yeah, David is still around. But a lot of those people are not. Ben was Ben one of the first? Was he?
Well, he had a site prior to Beast Wars.
Prior to
because some of the Beast Wars stuff was announced on his site.
Okay. Well, I first found Ben through bwtf.com or .net or whatever it was. So, it's a lot of those people are still around. A lot aren't, and we've lost a few.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so I remember it.
Bert.
I remember like it was yesterday.
I think Bert was actually the first person in the fandom that I actually met that I knew.
Oh, wow.
At BotCon 01. Bert Ward, Skyflight. I really liked Bert. He was a
Wait,
good guy.
the Burt Ward?
The Burt Ward,
Or-
Transformers fandom.
Not. So he's just a Burt Ward, really.
He was the Burt Ward to me.
Oh, okay.
He was a good guy. I don't really have anything else in respect to how I got into the fandom. I think my foray into Cybertron on Downet is probably as deep as I want to go. One thing I do want to mention on the show, I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but we got so into that topic last week that I completely failed to follow up. I want to mention a couple of podcasts that I listen to each week, just sort of help spread the word. A couple weeks ago, I think I mentioned Laser Time and something else. One of my favorite podcasts of all time, it's not Transformers related, but it is video game related. Video games are not necessarily my primary passion in life these days, but it definitely used to be, which is Retronauts at retronaut, like astronaut.com. It's a really great podcast. It used to be part of OneUp.com. OneUp.com no longer exists, but the guys that put that together are still around. Great podcast. If you like old video games, go and listen. Retronauts.com. Anything else, guys?
I'll just mention that I did see a few Beast Hunter figures at the local Ross. Rip Claw, some Commander-size figures such as Hardshell. No upsize Cyberverse yet, but I have heard they are showing up as well. And there's also that supposed rumor that Rhinoc has been found in a Ross/Marshalls as well.
So that's
Nice.
been a few months old.
Yeah.
I didn't know how.
I've seen Whirl twice at Toys R Us this week, but no one else in the wave.
Yeah, I've seen that, and it's $24.95 is what their Voyagers are now.
I think Whirl's Wave is 2 Whirls, a Double Dealer, and a Rhinox.
That would make
So
sense then.
yeah, it makes a little more sense to see Whirls just statistically, but
I thought you said sadistically. I thought that fits the character.
oh yeah.
Would make sense for Whirl. He's the sadistic one.
So, if there's a wave that you're looking for, check your discount places, just not the ones close to me.
Because he's already nicked them.
No.
Territorial.
Yeah.
Mine.
So how do you guys react when you're at like toy hunting and you find somebody else who's doing the exact same thing you are, looking for the exact same stuff you are?
Well,
I try not to talk to them whenever possible.
and I do most of mine online now, so
I've run into
the
a
entire
couple.
the entire internet's my competition. Sorry.
I've run into a couple people like when I'm like go in to look for toys, and like you see the guys, they show up and they're like lingering around. You're like, I wonder if they're Transformer fans. And I never say anything, but still, it's like they're probably looking at me going, "Oh, she's here getting stuff for her kids. Don't take my toy, please."
Yeah, don't get your kids' grubby hands off my, power core combiners.
I've yet to engage anyone in conversation at a toy store that didn't immediately make me feel uncomfortable and want to run away.
Mickey.
Except they keep talking to you, and they won't leave, and they won't shut up. And
Mickey, the Star Wars guy at Walmart.
exactly. Those are the only toy collectors I ever meet in person.
So, okay, so story here. It was like 11:30 at night. We wanted chocolate milk when I was visiting Mickey one time, so we went out to Walmart. I don't know why we went to Walmart for it, but since you got a grocery store like a minute and a half away. And we went and looked at the toys as, normal adults getting chocolate milk at 11:30 at night will do. And for
Now, when you
whatever
say normal.
For whatever
Yes.
reason, this guy starts talking to us about, like, Spanish-carded Star Wars figures.
Okay.
And he won't stop talking, no matter how disinterested we look. So I do the only sensible thing you could in that situation. I just turn around and walk away. But I walked like 2 aisles away and called Mickey's phone and basically said, okay, tell him there's an emergency and you have to leave right now.
Good thinking.
Yeah,
That's
so...
for that.
Cute, yeah. Oh, good times. Oh, I think it's funny, though, because sometimes I've never actually found myself in an aisle with an actual Transformers fan that I recognized. But I'm also the person that if a parent comes by and starts asking me questions about the Transformer, toys or whatever, I will sit there and go into this big old long thing, and they'll be like, okay, yeah, okay, thank you. You answered my question like a couple minutes ago. And then, they start walking away. So when that happens, it's like, okay, I think I geeked out on a little too much.
Yeah, no,
There's been occasions, like around the holidays especially, where I will be at a Toys R Us or something, and like parents or obvious grandparents will be like, can you help me? I'm looking for such and such thing for... And, a lot of times it was like a Bumblebee thing, and it's like, oh, that's fine. There's like dozens of Bumblebees to choose from.
Just throw a rock in any direction.
Take this shelf warmer. Your 2-year-old will love it.
That's kind of the
Buy
best.
several.
That's
No,
kind
but I
of the
mean
best.
that's most of the interaction I ever have over like looking at toys is ending up helping parents or whatever kind of relatives don't really know about it and have been given specific instructions they don't know how to follow.
What are you going to say, Don?
I'm saying that's kind of a really good feeling, especially when you put so much energy into this. It's not just something that is for your enjoyment, but you can actually around the holidays help people get the right gift, because not just with who I worked for, but even when I'm at other stores looking for me, like Exvee said, I'll see these poor grandparents, and it's not they don't understand, they just have no frame of reference to go by.
Yeah, I mean
other than just the kid saw X product, it's blue, and it turns into a helicopter. That's really all they got to go on. And seeing their faces when they realize this is what my grandson or granddaughter wants, and they know and that's a good feeling.
Yeah,
and I've even helped fellow collectors, because I had a Star Wars Black Boba Fett. I was going to buy that for myself, and one of my good friends had been looking for 2 or 3 months. I was still on the fence about getting it, so I just went ahead and let him pick it up because he's been trying to find it for so long. So you occasionally can help your friends out.
Invariably, what happens to me, I'm in the toy aisle, another adult will walk up to me and ask me about a toy for their kid, and I start telling them what I like about the toy. And that just weirds them out.
I'm 6'3", so mostly what I get anymore is, can you reach this down for me?
Yeah, I get that a lot too.
yeah.
Especially on Toys R Us, they ask you to lift the flap up and see what's behind the flap.
Which there's not any anymore.
Yeah,
But
rarely. Sometimes. Depends on the Toys R Us.
yeah.
Aside from trying to avoid the weirdos, the toy collectors, I tend not to talk to people in retail stores because, for me, going through a store, walking through it is sort of a zen experience. I like being surrounded by people, but being completely alone. For me, walking through retail is kind of like normal people do walking through a park.
Yeah.
The fluorescent lights sort of re-energize me, and I like to watch people, but not be forced to connect with them.
Sort of like on
You're
a
in your
podcast.
zen moment, right?
Yeah,
Enter
it's surrounded by dozens of people, but still completely alone.
Yeah.
It's very relaxing.
Yeah.
You're in your happy place.
Yes.
Hey Mickey, I'll send you one of my badges. You can come work for us. And, be zen all you want.
Yeah, that won't work, I don't think. Anything else, guys? Anything else this week?
Well, in comic terms, I did find a little thing the other day that kind of made me mad. I found that Amazon is now taking over comiXology.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. I'm like, this could be good or it could be very bad.
Amazon could really help them with like money and infrastructure, or it could really scare Marvel and DC away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. They say
And
that they're just going to be there as like, a subsidiary, but yeah.
And I think Robots in Disguise 28's out next week.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
So that'll be kicking off Back to Earth.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes too. I'm excited to
Are we
read
going
it.
back to Earth? Damn it.
But
Now-
Amy,
now look,
John
they
is
made-
writing. John
They
is
made
writing.
robot
Give him a
politics
chance.
good, so
Yes.
maybe they can make Earth be interesting too.
Yeah.
But I hate Earth. Earth sucks.
Boyfriend. Yeah.
but, Amy, there's no word from all your sources about them continuing Regeneration 1. You've not heard anything about that,
No.
right?
As far as I know,
Okay.
it's wrapping
Yeah,
up. And I
Use
think
all
I'm-
your pull. Use
Say it.
all
Yeah.
that you have available at your fingertips to find out.
IDW is a merciful IDW, so
So we're done. It's done.
I kind of think that Simon's actually had because of what he's been doing. I think he's been describing on his blog that because of that, he's got like other work that he's been doing. So,
Okay, all right, that's cool.
I mean, if he's not doing Transformers and you just like want to follow Simon, I know he's doing other things. So,
yeah.
I'll check out his blog then.
That's awesome. Okay, well, you can find us at tfradio.net for Radio Free Cybertron, Superhero Time, and all of our podcasts. We just had a new episode of Fanboy Versus.
yay!
Nicole, Chris McFeely, and Chris Triplett just reviewed Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier. Spoilers. It's really, really good.
But don't watch the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode first. Watch
Don't.
Now, like Catwoman good or just like regular good?
Regular good.
Regular good.
Yeah.
Clue good.
Yeah. But check that out. Of course, we also have other shows like Bell to Bell, Nebula and Pirate Radio, which is now monthly. And in the last 2 weeks, I think we've had 6 new episodes of the Turtle Lair podcast. But I have post-dated them, so you would never know.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So,
Listen.
but unless you like watch it in your iTunes feed, and you're like, holy crap, 6 new episodes.
There's a Turtles podcast?
There's a Turtles podcast. It's at
Woohoo!
TM.
I'll have to check that out.
Yep, TMNT.
I have not heard of that before.
Yep. It's called The Turtle Lair, and you can find it at tmntpodcast.com. I own that URL. It's pretty sweet.
You own a lot of
I
URLs.
sure do.
How's Blah Blah Digimon coming?
Ask Ken.
Yeah.
That's pretty much Ken's fault right there.
It's not a big deal.
Well, we can harangue him over it anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't mind.
But yeah, you can
Or
check out
meringue him.
You can check out all of their
Yeah.
shows as well as RFC and find all our social links like Facebook, facebook.com/TFRadio, or Twitter at TFRadio. And we have stuff like Pinterest, which I haven't updated in a year.
Pinterest?
Pinterest, yeah.
Lady Reddit?
Lady Reddit, yeah, pretty much. So check that out. I'm on Twitter at Kilby. Anybody want to share their social?
Lady of Rack on Twitter.
Superhero_time gets updated occasionally.
That works.
Hey Mickey on Twitter.
RAC 2750.
at HMRC for EVR.
Oh yes. So
And you can also catch me on the Underbase too.
and that's at what, underbase.libsyn.com?
Yeah, it's underbase.libsyn.com, or you can just find us on Twitter. We tweet out pretty much just Underbase stuff. So it's at the Underbase. So we just got finished. I just posted it actually an hour before I came on here. Our first review of Windblade.
Sweet.
So
go check that
it was
out.
fun. 2 hours of awesome.
That's amazing that you can talk about 2 hours about like a 21-page comic. I love that.
And don't forget to join us each week for random Massey attacks.
Yes, we have had our massive
Oh,
attack for the week,
what was
so the
today's
show's
damage,
complete.
Don?
2 claw marks and a bite mark. Apparently my hand was not doing enough petting.
Aw.
Or
Ouch.
too much petting, or, brain neurons.
Yeah.
Well, he did pee on my favorite pillow while I was at Mom's.
That's a
That
sign,
just
Don.
means he missed you.
Yeah.
That's a cat.
That's a cat. Okay, for the guys, I'm your host, Brian Kilby. We will be back next week. Have a good one.